Persephone, daughter of the mighty goddess of agriculture Demeter and the great Zeus, personified spring. Her youthfulness made the fields bloom with flowers and joy. Due to her extraordinary beauty, her mother was overprotective of her daughter, who was the object of lust for several male deities. To protect her, she tried to keep Persephone away from the love deities. But Eros and Aphrodite would not let another deity be distanced from their influence and took steps to ensure that passion was always present in Persephone's life. Hades, the ruler of the underworld, was fascinated by Persephone's beauty and liveliness. In a rash act, he abducted her and took her to his gloomy kingdom. Devastated at the loss of her daughter, Demeter let the earth become barren, with the world experiencing its first famine. She vowed that the earth would stay dry until her daughter returned. With the earth thrown into turmoil, Zeus intervened. He ordered Hades to return Persephone. However, there was a caveat. If Persephone had already consumed food or drink in the underworld, she would be eternally bound to it. Before Persephone was released, however, she ate 6 seeds of a pomegranate given to her by Hades, or according to some versions, eaten by herself without fully realizing the consequences. In this context, the pomegranate is not just some fruit, but a symbol of destiny, commitment, and the unbreakable bonds between life and death. As a result, Persephone was to spend 6 months in the underworld with Hades and 6 months on Earth with her mother. During her time in the underworld, Demeter, while still grieving, made the earth sterile and cold, giving rise to autumn and winter. When Persephone returned, Demeter's delight made it bloom again, ushering in spring and summer. Before being known as Persephone, the goddess was frequently called Kore, meaning the maiden or the young girl. This name is a reflection of her youth and innocence before being abducted by Hades and her subsequent transformation into the queen of the underworld. On the other hand, the name Persephone is often understood as a combination of the Greek words pertho, to destroy, and phone, to kill, suggesting a darker nature. The duality of being the maiden of spring and the queen of the underworld is a central feature of Persephone's mythology and reflects the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. As Hades' consort, she was not merely a prisoner, but a ruler with power and authority. Unlike many other Greek gods with volatile relationships, the partnership between Hades and Persephone is frequently seen as stable and strong, despite its stormy origins. Unlike many female deities in Greek mythology, Persephone is not an underling figure to her husband. She has her own authority and power. Her rule over the souls arriving in the underworld is often as decisive as that of Hades, who respects her and values her opinion and judgment. Persephone acts as a mediator in some stories, interceding on behalf of souls or the living who seek favors. This is the case in the myth of Orpheus, who went down to the underworld to rescue his beloved Eurydice, who died tragically. The myth of Psyche, who journeyed to the kingdom of Hades to perform a task at the behest of Aphrodite, can also be singled out. Persephone's role as queen of the underworld and goddess of spring is symbolic of existence's duality: life and death, sorrow and joy, light and darkness. Her power to move between these two realms turns her into a goddess of balance and transition. Not many people know that Persephone has a sister who is her opposite, Despina, the goddess of winter. Whereas Persephone raised beautiful flowers wherever she went, Despina would bring the cold with her, wiping out the vegetation with her blizzards and frosts. Despina ruined Demeter and Persephone's work due to the grudge she held in her heart, as the goddess of winter was abandoned by Demeter when she was just a baby. Despina perceived herself as a deity rejected even by her mother. In contrast, Demeter loved and protected her daughter Persephone with all her might. For this reason, Despina's bitterness was overwhelming, and she took out her frustration by destroying Persephone's flowers. The nymph Minthe, a former lover of Hades, is another character connected to the myth of Persephone. Minthe envied Persephone, as the goddess of spring had been elected queen of the underworld in her place. Some people say that Minthe kept having a secret relationship with Hades, while Persephone was above ground reuniting with her mother. Others say that Hades remained faithful. The fact remains that Minthe bragged about being more beautiful than Persephone, and that was why Hades lusted after her. The queen of the underworld raged at Minthe for these claims and transformed her into the plant we know today as mint. There was another interesting episode involving Persephone, when she met a handsome young mortal called Adonis, falling in love with him. He was Aphrodite's lover, but died prematurely in a hunting incident set off by the god Ares. Once he reached the underworld, Persephone adopted him as her servant and lover, but Aphrodite had not yet given up on her mortal lover and demanded that Adonis be returned to her. A major dispute ensued between Aphrodite and Persephone to determine who would keep Adonis. Zeus again brokered the dispute and decided that Adonis would spend part of the year with each of the goddesses, but they kept going back and forth, trying to spend more time with their dear Adonis. Persephone's connection to the Eleusinian mysteries is one of the most fascinating aspects of the goddess in the Greek world. The Eleusinian mysteries were secret rituals of ancient Greek religion, which took place in the city of Eleusis near Athens. These rituals were devoted specifically to Demeter and Persephone, and focused on the story of Persephone's abduction by Hades and Demeter's ensuing quest for her daughter. The Eleusinian mysteries are one of the oldest and most highly revered religious traditions in ancient Greece. They attracted initiates from all over the Hellenistic world for centuries. They were regarded as mysteries precisely because the rituals and teachings were kept secret and only revealed to initiates. These performed a sacred procession from Athens to Eleusis, reenacting Demeter's journey in search of her daughter. In this ritual, the participants would drink a mixture called kykeon, made from barley and mint. Some scholars have speculated that this beverage could have hallucinogenic properties, although this is still up for debate. The rituals are believed to have featured reenactments of the story of Demeter and Persephone. These performances were not merely theatrical plays, but profoundly spiritual rituals that provided a mystical experience for the participants. A major draw of the Eleusinian mysteries was the promise of an afterlife. The secret teachings handed down to the initiates were supposed to provide not only reassurance about the soul's fate following death, but also advice on how to live a life that would ensure safe passage to the hereafter. The Eleusinian mysteries lasted until the 4th century AD, when Christianity took over as the dominant religion of the Roman Empire, and pagan practices were stamped out. The relationship between Hades and Persephone epitomizes the complexity of love. It begins with possessiveness and compulsiveness, but evolves into a partnership based on mutual respect and coexistence. It represents the duality of passionate impulsiveness and enduring, stable love. Persephone's myth is certainly one of the most interesting in Greek mythology, allowing us to see clearly how the ancient Greeks attempted to explain the world around them and answer the key questions inherent in human existence.